This is my entry for the 2020 Pallet Upcycle Challenge put on by Simply Wood Creations. Make sure you look in the description below to see a link to his channel and the playlist for all the entries. My name is Joshua Purcell and this is my next project.
The first thing I'm going to do here is go ahead and start disassembling my pallet. I simply am going to go ahead and cut these ends off of the pallet on both sides of the pallet to just kind of free up the ends here and help me knock these loose. I know exactly what I need for this project, so if some of these pieces get broken along the way, we'll still be able to use them and take advantage of the pieces. One thing that I've always been told and always remembered about pallets is that the pallets are free but the wood is not. What that means is that there's a lot of wear and tear on your tools and on yourself and on your equipment for disassembling a pallet. So make sure whenever you're taking these apart that you identify all of the screws and the nails or whatever you have, hold them together so that you don't tear up your blades. I'm very careful going through these to make sure that I pull out every single nail so that I don't hit it in my planer or in my table saw. I'll tell you, after taking so many pallets apart that had screws in it, this is definitely not the fun way to do it, is taking them apart with nails. Alright, now that we just about got the pallet apart, we're ready to start working on this project. The first thing I'm going to do is take these runners from the pallet and go over here and plane them. This is mainly just to get them a little bit more narrow. I don't need them as thick as they are. If you don't have a planer, you could either resaw these at your table saw or your bandsaw, or you could plane them down to the size that you want. Again, I wasn't going for a specific thickness, I just knew that those were too thick and going to be too heavy for this project. Once I got them planed down, I took them over to the table saw, and I'm just going to try to square up the edges a little bit so I can do a panel glue up of these. So I just made a pass on each side of the board. Nothing difficult here, just a quick pass on each side to make sure that I get a good glue surface. Move it over just a little bit and do the same thing again.
I'm going to cut these down to 11.5 inches long. That'll be a little bit wider than I actually need.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I cut that down to final length after I get this panel glue up done. I only actually need 4 of these for the glue up. I'll use the other one later. You'll see it when I use it. Just to help me with help line this panel up, I'm going to go ahead and add biscuits to it. Doesn't need it for strength. This is just to line it up to have a good glue up. I went ahead and did all this first because this is going to be the longest period of time is waiting for this glue to dry. So I'm going to go ahead and get this glue up done so that I can let the glue start drying and get started doing some other things. Tybond 3 is what I had on hand. I don't know that it's necessary. Use whatever you have. This isn't a good project that's going to get wet. Alright, now set that aside for the glue to dry, and I'm going to take all of the runners and come over here and rip them to what I call 1 and a fat 3/4, which just means a little over 3/4 of an inch thick. So that's what I did. So even these that are busted up are going to be fine. You can see how some of these short ones are going to be just fine for what we need them for. And then the wide ones, of course, those will work great for getting multiple passes out of them. Now that I got these done, I'm going to go over to the miter saw and I'm going to cut these to around 16 inches long. And I cut all of them to final length at this time. Now, to just add a little bit of character to this, I'm going to go ahead and burn them. Just a propane torch is going to take care of getting some burning in on these, and it'll make them look great too, or at least I think it looks great. Now this is one of those extra boards I was telling you about earlier that I didn't need from that cutoff. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these to about probably 3/4 inches thick here. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make a square out of these.
These will be cut down to 10 1/4 inches. Since these are all cut to the same length, it'll be easy to make our box. It's going to be 11 inches by 11 inches, so you'll just take one of these and it'll butt up to the end like this one, and then this one here will be this will be the long side here, just like that, long side here, and so forth, and this one will butt up right there. So you can see this is the same pattern all the way around.
And I just used a couple of brad nails here to help hold these together until the glue dried. Really don't know that it was necessary, just mainly to help hold it together like I said.
So there we go, that's square, so we're going to leave it like that and let that glue dry.
It's been a couple hours since this panel has been drying, so this glue should be ready to go. We're going to take it over here to the planer and plane it down just a little bit more, again, mainly just to get some of the weight off of it and get it to where it's not quite so heavy. Now it's time to cut this down to the final length and width. I'm just making the first pass here at the miter saw before I go to the table saw and cut this to a square. And now I'm going to use that box that we built earlier just to use my guide to make this final cut here on both sides. This will make it match that bottom, so when we add the side pieces it works out perfect.
What I'm doing here is I'm going to reference off of this center line, and I'm going to come out here about 2 inches on each side and make a mark. Or exactly 2 inches, I should say.
I'm drilling this bigger hole here for each one of those to let the washer and nuts sit in. Since I got shorter eye bolts, I needed to do this in order to allow them to work for this project. And now I'm drilling all the way through for the eye bolt, and then I'm going to come back and drill all the way through for the actual light fixture to go through. This is for the second eye bolt here. And now I'm just gluing and brad nailing these with a couple of brad nails on the top and a couple on the bottom. I have a board here I'm using as a reference to help line these up. Again, and now I'm going to clamp it in place, just help hold it there. Glue, use my spacers, and then a couple brad nails. Glue, couple spacers, and then a couple brad nails. Same thing over and over again. First side's done. Now we're going to the opposite side. Same thing. I've already got my board clamped on there to line it up. And now we'll speed it up just a little bit to get this done. Again, this is the same thing over and over again. Spacers, glue, brad nails. And I've been working from the outside in, if that makes sense. I did the 2 outside boards, and I do the next 2 closest to the outside, and then the last one is the middle one. So if there's anything that's off, it'll all be referenced off in the middle. Now for this side, I decided not to cover up the corner, and so the corners will stay open on this. As you can see right there, I'm not overlapping that corner. I'll go back here in a minute and burn those corners, but I think this is fine. A lot of the same thing over and over again. Once you get it the first time, it makes it a lot easier as you keep moving through this. As we're getting close to getting done, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know I'm not going to go over the electrical part of this. I have a DIY woodworking channel, and I'm not an electrician, and I'm not going to offer any advice or tips on doing electrical work. So I'm going to skip over that and just show you the part where I run the cord through this chain and I hook the chain up to the top. But all the electrical part will be cut out.
I know it's not a great view, but originally I planned on hanging this, and I still may do it. We're going to see. I think this would actually look good sitting on the counter, but I'm going to go ahead and finish like I'm going to hang it. So I'm going to put this eye bolt through there and add a washer and a nut. And then for the second one, I'll turn it around. I'm going to take my cord and wrap it through my chain. So I've cut 2 pieces of short chain. And then we've got one here for the middle. We're just going to hook this one together with this one. And then once it comes down, we'll hook it right there. And make sure that it is on top of these, just like that. We'll pull a little bit of string down here, or cord down here, to be loose, so there's no tension on it. So here it is, free floating. I think it looks pretty good. Here's a little view of it in the dark. I also think that this thing would do great sitting on like a counter as well, and being like a nightlight almost type thing. Removing the chain and just having it plug in. I think that'd be another good option. I don't know what we're gonna do with this. I don't know if my wife's gonna wanna keep it or if we're gonna sell it or what, but thank you for checking out this video. If this happens to be your first video, make sure you click the subscribe button down below so you can see when I have more videos coming out. Also, make sure you give me a follow on Instagram. I post pictures periodically on there, and it's just a fun way for us to interact, a little bit easier than YouTube. So thanks again for watching, and as always, y'all will see me next time.